morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice Radio. So today I want to show you a weird deck that has gone and done some winning over in Japan. I've seen this winning some smaller tournaments in Japan, and it's one that excites me very much indeed. It's Conkeldurr, specifically the Conkeldurr from Twilight Masquerade. And this is one of those cards where, like, everyone who is seriously into Pokemon TCG deck building at some point has looked at this card and gone, I can make that work. That is going to be a card that is going to work one day. And it's taken a little while, but it looks like we might have at least the beginnings of a working deck here. I've seen it doing well in Japan. I've seen it winning some smaller tournaments, so we should have a good look at it. Now, in terms of Conkeldurr itself, I mean, look, we got a stage 2 here, which is frankly not ideal. And we got single energy, 80 damage, plus it itself is confused. Frankly, a bad start. But then we've got an attack for 4 energy that does 250 damage. But if it's affected by a special condition, it costs no energy at all. And this is why Conkeldurr has always been an exciting and enticing Pokemon, for that idea of, hang on a second, I can play no energy here and be hitting 250 damage every turn. And this is a point in the video where I tell you the list I'm showing you in this video plays no energy whatsoever. There is not a single solitary energy card anywhere to be found in the build I'm going to be showing you in this video. Nice! So what other Pokemon are we playing it with? Well, attackers-wise, nothing. We're not attacking with anything else. We are attacking with Conkeldurr. That is the only attacker we've got in the deck. So what else are we doing? Well, we're playing around with Poison, and one of the most important Pokemon you will find in this deck is Brute Bonnet. Brute Bonnet is the only way this actually works, because remember, in order to get the no energy attack rolling, you have to have a special condition affecting Conkeldurr. Well, it can't be paralysis or sleep, that would be dumb. Confusion would be silly, because you'd have to flip in order to attack. So what we're going with here is Poison. Sure, you'll take 10 damage from Poison between turns, Boo, Hiss, etc. But you'll be poisoned. It means that you'll be able to do 250 for no energy, and that'll work very nicely indeed. And obviously you need a Future Booster Energy Capsule attached to Brute Bonnet. You poison both yourself and the defending Pokemon, and then you get to do 250 for no energy. But then they also take poison damage. And this means that our Radiant Pokemon of choice here, and we have no choice, it has to be Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. Your opponent takes an extra 2 damage counters for poison during Pokemon Checkup. But this is actually crucial, because now your opponent is taking 3 damage counters for poison during Pokemon Checkup, which means 250 damage, plus 3 damage counters, which is 280 damage. And that's a key number. That's Pokemon V-Star like Lugia, for instance, or at least it would be if they weren't resistant to fighting, which they are. That is some of the weaker Stage 2 EXs like Pidgeot, for instance, or at least it would be if they weren't resistant to fighting, which they are. Seriously, resistance is actually super annoying with this deck. There are some very relevant Pokemon that resist fighting, which is super annoying. But you will still get some things like Regidrago here, which is actually not resistant to fighting and has 280 HP, so that will go down quite nicely. It's a decent amount of damage to hit. As a side note with Poison here, we do play Perilous Jungle. Perilous Jungle is totally a thing here, means another 2 damage counters are taken during Pokemon Checkup. The problem here is, it is double-sided. You and your opponent take the extra damage for poison, and you kind of need to be poisoned here in order to get the free attack. So it's frankly not ideal. This isn't if you really need it kind of thing. You generally don't want this. But I have said that you will be a little bit short for a bunch of Pokemon. That's really annoying. Well, don't forget about Binding Mochi. If you're gonna be poisoned anyway, you might as well use Binding Mochi here, which says that you do an extra 40 damage when you're poisoned, so now it's 290. plus 30 damage for poison during Pokemon checkup. And now we roll in, ladies and gentlemen. Now we roll in. Now, to be fair, this is still 10 damage away from getting, say, Charizard at 230, because you'll be hitting 290 plus 3 for poison is 320. But this is a kind of situation where you can then use Perilous Jungle, get yourself up to 340, which, not for nothing, is the most HP any Pokemon has naturally, and then you will actually be able to get a KO here. You can stretch up to the biggest numbers with this deck. Takes a little bit of a combo, but it can be done, and that is one of the reasons this stands a chance. Now, in terms of other Pokemon, we are playing a couple of others. We are playing the promo Petulant here. That's right. The one that does extra poison damage with an ability. As long as it's active, you put 5 more damage counters on your opponent's poison Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. And this actually gives donking options. You're playing around with poison anyway, so use Brute Bonnet to poison your opponent's active. Play Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, put this into the active, and then all of a sudden, your opponent's poison Pokemon is taking 8 damage counters between turns. 1 normally, plus 5 for Petulant, plus 2 for Radiant Hisuian Sneasler. And yes, you can get up to 100 if you play Perilous Jungle as well, but generally speaking, we're playing like 1 Perilous Jungle here. So that's more of a if you really need to stretch kind of thing. It's not going to work as an every game draw it turn 1, try and donk. But this poison package means you can try and donk. And all of these poison cards help out massively. You're getting all the advantage of stuff like Binding Mochi and Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, etc. for poison. But then you're bringing in your Conkeldurr as well. And then in terms of other Pokemon, we are actually playing Petulant EX here, which is rather nice. That gives us a switching option. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it does give us another option. What Petulant does here quite nicely is it lets you switch in one of your benched Darkness Pokemon, and then the new active Pokemon is now poisoned. It's not ideal, but if you want to get like your single prize Petulant into the active, for instance, this will work very nicely to do so. And then after that, we're just playing support Pokemon. Pheasant Dipty to draw 3 cards if you had a Pokemon KO'd last turn. Luminion to help you go and get supporter cards to be setting up quite nicely. And Rotom to let you draw 3 cards at the end of your turn. Because as I've said, your only real attacker here is Conkeldurr. It's the only one with which you're attacking. And even if you're doing the whole trying to donk with poison, that's not an attack. So you can leave Petulant in the active, try and put 8, 10 damage counters on with poison, but still use Rotom to draw 3 cards to end your turn. So it works out rather nicely. As for the rest of the deck, I mean, I've told you most of the most important cards in terms of the poison package, but there are some other things we're using here. Obviously, Forest Seal Stone to go and search any card is very important. And we do have a couple of Pokemon V with which we can combine it. We've got your Rotom, we've got your Luminion. So either of those Pokemon here could be an option to attach your Forest Seal Stone and go from there. In terms of our ace spec here, we're playing Precious Trolley. Obviously, we're playing Precious Trolley here. Basically, we just need a bunch of basics. It's really important. We need to be getting our basics out nice and quickly. So this is where we're going. You go and get your basics, get them all on the field, and then you can start evolving up. One of the biggest issues with this deck is the fact that you are playing a stage 2 as your only real attacker. So you have to have an option here in terms of getting this set up as fast as you can or things will go wrong. Then, of course, we need some recovery. So, if we take a look at the deck list as a whole here, we see a couple of Super Rod to try and get these back. We do have a few options. There's a Thought in there so that we can switch any basic into any other basic into discard. Maybe switch something into a Timber to evolve up. We do have some things we can do here. But generally speaking, we've got the donking option with the promo Petulant. And then we got Conkeldurr to hit 250 every turn for no energy. Except it's not really 250 damage a turn. You are going to have poison. You are going to have extra damage from the poison. And all of this is going to add up very nicely indeed. So there we go. Conkeldurr, are you buying it? Do you think this is going to be a legit deck? Do you think it's going to work? Or do you think it's the occasional person getting lucky? Let me know in the comment section, would ya? Get us? Me nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Zarek Perilous, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.